Testing, testing. Is anybody out there? This is Captain's Log. It is January 2024. At least it is for me right now. I don't know when anybody will get this. We'll see this. We'll hear this. But what does it matter? What is time? It is a new year, and as with every new year, things are a little different. And maybe, as you can tell or cannot tell, things are certainly different for me. Number one, haircut. So, new year, new me, right? I'm kind of doing like I don't know if you can see this. It's short, right? It's like a rebel youth look or something. Clearly, I'm in. Identity crisis mode feels dramatic, right? But you know what? I am a theater kid. Let's be dramatic. It is identity crisis mode. Because needless to say, I am a little lost out here. And this video series that we are starting with this installment, we're going to call The Art of Figuring It Out. Because while you might feel lost at times, I think it's important to believe that you will always figure it out. And that is something that I do feel like I've taught myself over the few years. I think I've gotten relatively decent at figuring things out. And it's always in the appropriate time, and we always end up where you're supposed to be. But right now, I'm feeling a little lost out here. And I have crash landed myself out here in the wild jungle where I don't know what's going on. And I'm here in the treehouse. This is where I've made my home of recent. And why don't I give you a little tour? So if you're out there, if you're listening just on the audio, why don't you come over? Why don't you join us in the video world, on the YouTubes, or wherever else this video ends up in the wild galactic interweb? But I'm going to give you a little tour here, right? Okay, so this is the command center right here in front of me. Can't see, but back here, I'll show you. You can see this is a command center. There's like a lot of stuff, a lot of shit going on here, but this is the corner pointing in the studio area here. You can see I have the vocal booth over there and a piano, electronic drum set, etc. Then off to the side here, we have, this is the lounge. This is the lounge of the ship. We have a lot of hangs, a lot of conversations, some naps, things out there. You can get a little better view for it there. And over here, this is the jam station of the ship with a little close-up here. This will change from time to time based off what's needed, but that's the layout of the ship here. But the ship has crashed into this jungly tree, as you can tell by the overgrowth of all of this sound treatment here. And it's the treehouse. What happens? The vibe here, I feel like my favorite way to think about this, of my vibe here, it took me a while to come upon this vibe, right? And I don't know how or why, tell you the truth. I don't know how or why I ended up here, but for some reason I did, and it feels right. But I think when given more context, it might make sense to everybody, because everything in my life seems to have this sort of dramaticism of a conceptual, like, a grandiose conceptual backstory or metaphor. Like I said, theater kid. So, like, what else do you expect? So yeah, what I thought to myself, I said, self, what is the vibe? What's the vibe of this world that I've made? Because making my home in this space over the past year, it's taken upon this hyper-tech space station command center amidst a jungle. And so my vibe is, I crashed my spaceship in a jungle. Think like James Cameron's Avatar, futuristic, crashed in a magical, mystical jungle. But I dig it. And to tell you the truth, it probably can't, I went to Tulum in January of last year. So it's been a year. Wow, this feels appropriate. And you know what they say, you go to Tulum once and you become a Tulum type guy or something. But so that's where I'm at now. I guess going to Tulum made me get my jungle on. But it feels right. I don't know. I've been really drawn towards this sort of organic nature environment. And it feels appropriate for right now. Because as I said earlier, I feel a little lost. And I do feel like I crashed my ship in a jungle and stranded a little bit. But for context, I guess, a little bit of context, over the past... So let me rewind even more. So when I started making music as Feather, first I wasn't even sure I was Feather, but I came from a background playing with my boys in bands, touring for years, right? Shout out to my Millennium boys and any of the TPP boys if you're out there. So that was my familiar territory, but towards the end of that period, I was drawn to a new realm. And at that time, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I set off to figure that out. Clearly, there's a concept here, right? It's a recurring theme. And so setting off to embark in a new direction with a new vibe and a new name and a new, we'll say genre, but we don't like that. We don't like that word around this house. Setting off on that adventure to become someone new was it was a big journey, and as you can tell, that's where we got becoming, because that whole concept was about the process of what it means to become someone new. So following that whole thing of setting off and venturing down that road, I got in the spaceship, the electronic, the fucking EDM spaceship, and I took off and I left Earth to fly around and see what I could find out there in the interwebs of technology and internet and shit. And I zoomed around there for a while. God, I'm sorry if this metaphor is cringe, but it makes I got to do this in my brain, or it helps it all make sense. It makes me feel better that I am on the path that I need to be having in my life. Like it's been pre-written, and as long as I can construct some sort of like conceptual metaphor around it, I'm like, okay, this is right. I am on the right path, right? Okay, so all right, hear me out. Hear me out. I'm in my EDM spaceship because I'm like, oh, this is cool, new, and fun. I'm gonna see y'all back on Earth, in my band boys. I'll see you later. I'm gonna do some exploring. I'm gonna go investigate, see what's out here. Get in the ship. I make my ship out of a computer and a MIDI controller and a fucking Apollo interface, and I I take off, right? I zoom around out there, trying some new things, making some new tunes, meeting some new friends along the way, sharing thoughts, and putting out music and starting to try and play. And I started toying around with this thing called DJing, which is fine. It's interesting. But following a few years of that, I'm like, things are different out here. I like don't even recognize where we're at here in the music industry or what I'm even doing anymore. And then TikTok showed up and Spotify is ruling the world, and suddenly everything, I'm like, this I don't even know where I fit in out here. Like I'm like way out here passing by planets and shit, and I'm like, oh God, what have I done? Where did I go? I'm a long ways from home. And then my ship, because I've been on like hyperspeed, right? You know, I've been ripping fucking Millennium songs and bass tracks and techno and whatever for hours. And by hours, I mean probably years. And so this ship is like, and the engines are burning out, right? The engines are burning out. And I'm like, I gotta land somewhere quick before this thing explodes out here. So I do. And I'm coming down through the atmosphere. I don't know where I am. I just picked the nearest planet. Apparently it's Tulum. And we're like, you know, coming down. And we're like, we're burning up, Captain. And that's what I say to myself as I'm driving this, because there's no one else on the ship but me. And then we crash. Man, it would be awesome if someone like animated like some type of like little visual cartoon to go with this. That'd be kind of fun. Anyways, this is, if you haven't realized, this is going to be chaos, because I don't even know what I'm doing. I just know that I'm sitting down to hash this out, to figure it out, and just talk. It's mostly therapy for me, right? And maybe y'all will get something out of it or see it or not. Anyways, so yeah, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be all over. This is going to be a very untraditional show. I'm not even going to call this isn't a podcast. I'm not going to call it a podcast. I feel like that's a cringe word these days. This is a show. This is an experience. Anywho, ship crashes, right? My electronic spaceship crashes in Tulum, in a foreign Tulum, thousands and thousands of years and galaxies away from current space and time. And so that was last year. I was burnt out, and the ship was damaged and confused and lost, and I had to set up camp. And so we got the treehouse, right? Quick mini tour again. Wow, there it is. Wow. And now that I'm here in this treehouse, the environment feels good. It feels the break was needed. Because when you're lost and you have no idea what's going on, you gotta just like sit down and figure out what to do. Figure out a plan, right? You can't just keep driving in circles. Lost. You can't. And as someone like me, I'm a big plan guy. Some of y'all might know that. I'm a big plan guy, big planner. Success is when preparation meets opportunity. Believe in that. Oh man, I haven't been paying attention, but I feel like I'm going to be saying a lot, and that's a really bad habit that I really want to work on. So, hope me work on Play a drinking game at home. We're going to stop doing that because we're going to speak concisely and intentionally and confidently. So yeah, that's my big roundabout, weird, conceptual, metaphoric backstory of my life and why I ended up here. And you know, the world was different. The industry changed, and it does. Every industry changes. That's fine. Like, I really don't have a problem with that. And I don't want this to sound like a woe is me type, like, oh, I got burnt out and I was fucking tired. And like, yeah, duh. Obviously, that shit's going to happen. Like, I get that. I'm like completely okay and self-aware that that's part of the deal. And I'm not here to bitch and moan about that. I'm just trying to provide some context here because when it happens, as it will always happen in any situation, you know, it's going to be life. It's going to be your relationships. It's going to be your career and your job and your friendships and family and whatnot. Sometimes it happens, and often when it happens, that means that something about the way you're going about it could be better, could be tweaked, could be changed, because when life changes, you got to adapt, you got to grow with it. And the way that I was feeling, having been pursuing a career in music and entertainment and whatever industry you want to call it for over 10 years, it looked pretty foreign to me. I felt like I had lost a connection with the person that I felt I was when I set off on that, which is, again, understandable. Like, that's going to happen. However, the dissonance that I was feeling was really bothering me. And I felt like I was getting farther and farther from the thing that I loved about it, the reason I wanted to do it. And part of that was the way I was approaching it and chasing the dream and fueling the machine out there on the internet with content and exhausting. I don't know. It was not a sustainable mentality for me. So anyways, I digress. Clearly, I've thought a lot about this. So again, I'm not trying to whine about this because it's all good, fam. It's all good because we're going to figure it out. And so all that being said, that is my very long, convoluted story of how I ended up here, crashed in the jungle. And ultimately why I cut my hair. I think that was really the story of why I cut my hair, how I cut my hair. But we're in the jungle now, and it's Jungle Boy season. Frankly, I'm very excited for this part of life, because now that I'm in this jungle of the world, of what the fuck's going on out there, and I feel like most of us can get on the same page about, we're like, what the fuck is going on out there? Like, just what? It's kind of, I mean, it's fascinating. I get it. There's literally there's infinite worlds happening, right? Between the one you're living, the one everyone else is living, and then the versions of those you are seeing on the internet. We are actively viewing infinite universes all the time. And that shit's nuts. That is intergalactic cable in real life, no doubt. So, and that being said, I think it is also exhausting. I can't keep up. I don't want to keep up, frankly. So that's another reason I got myself off the internet a little bit more, and I had to be in the jungle here because it's too much. I don't think my brain was ever made to understand what thousands of people are doing at like all times. So now that I'm here in the jungle, I want to explore, right? I want to see what I find out here. I want to so if I'm crashed in the jungle, every day I'm going to go out and I'm going to poke around a little bit. I'm going to bring my machete, my bow and arrow. I would love a bow and arrow. When I was a kid, I loved bow and arrows. I thought they were the coolest thing. I had one for a little bit. And also Lord of the Rings stan here. Legolas, OG. I thought he was the coolest. Elves are the coolest. They're really good with their aiming and stuff and their bow making. And dude, I was even such a nerd that me and a friend, I can't remember who it was. If I could remember, I'd shout out to whomever this boy was. Shout out to my boy, my elven brethren. No, this was in I want to say middle school. So at the back of the copy of Return of the King I had, it had his Tolkien's like indexes of information and like the lineages and like the languages, and there was like the alphabet, the elfish alphabet, the alphabet. And so I wrote down all of the things as like a code, right? And me and my friend would send notes back and forth to each other with the alphabet. I'm gonna patent that. That's good. So yeah, that's why bows and arrows are sick. So yeah, I would bring my bow, an arrow, and a machete, and my some sort of futuristic like laser gun, and I would go venture out into the jungle, see what I find. Just a little bit more each day, right? Get the lay of the land. Where am I right now? Like, where's the water at? Are there any creatures? What's dangerous? Are there any locals around? Maybe there's some locals out there that might want to help, that might want to give you some tips and tricks. And assuming that I am pretty much isolated and stranded alone on this foreign planet, I'm going to need to make myself at home and get pretty comfortable with where I'm at and who I am and what's going on in life. And part of that's making your home. It's making a place that's safe, that you feel good in. This specific layout here in the treehouse, this was definitely fueled by a little mushroom experience where I realized I needed to provide an environment that was an escape, nurturing, safe. God, wow, it feels like I'm like, so I did mushrooms for the first time. No, that's not true. I am experienced, but this specific one, the jungle called again. Tulum rears its beautiful head again, and so I was like, oh, I really want to make this environment nurturing, and I went out and I bought a bunch of fake plants immediately. I went to the local fake plant store on this planet, and I bought a bunch of fake plants because there's no light. It's hard to get a lot of light in your spaceship ceiling that's made of metal, right? And you don't want too much openings because of rain and shit, obviously. And so fake plants were the solution. So that I'm straying from the concept too much. I can't poke too many holes in this concept. We're not doing that. Never mind. Forget everything I just said. We are still actually crash landed in a planet. This is a video log of my experience, and this is all completely real. See, chaos. Anywho, so I cut my hair, and I think it's interesting what your haircut says about you, right? I imagine it's pretty funny to anyone on the outside. It's like, clearly it's a new phase of life for you. Clearly that old shit is done. You got to cut that shoulder length shit off, and on to the next. The hair was just like weighed with trauma, right? Like just like, so you got to chop it off, right? And you got to do this like kind of like short. You can't. It's not mohawk. I don't want that, and I don't want mullet either. It's somewhere in the middle. I think wild boy. Oh, you know what? It's kind of like that is mohawk. It's kind of like Rufio. Did you ever watch Hook? Hook with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams. Oh man, I love that show too. Rufio is such a badass. Rufio's definitely way more of a Mohawk, so that's a completely terrible example right now. So I'm not helping with that. But that's what came to mind. Some type of wild boy Rufio-ness. The Lost Boys. See, we're lost. See, that's fair. That's sound okay. But yeah, I don't know. Never did something like this, and also I was just like wearing my hair up all the time. And I'm like, why is this long if I'm just like wearing it up all the time? But haircuts say a lot about you. And I think that's pretty interesting. Whether you self-identify as an artist or not, I think your haircut decision is it's an artistic choice, right? It says what type of artist you are or want to be. In my mind, everyone's an artist, right? Like I think creativity, the soul of art. Ugh, this is gonna sound so cringe. I think creativity is like a natural human thing, right? We are all creative in some capacity in different ways and different things. That's a fundamental like feature of us being human. We're creative. We like to find interesting solutions to different types of problems. That's creativity, in my opinion. Hair is a problem or not, right? Like whether you view it as a problem or you view it as a canvas, you all take a creative solution to it, and you either chop it off or you sculpt it or you color it or you take something really low maintenance, right? That's hair. And Brian Eno actually has a interesting thing about this. I love Brian Eno. I've been on a deep dive of him because I feel like I've been doing a lot of reading over the past year. I mean, what else do you do in your spaceship while you're flying around and then you crash and you're sitting there? You got to read. So I've been a bit on a Brian Eno deep dive recently because I just finished it's called Surrender. It's Bono's autobiography, not self-autobiography. That's redundant. It's his autobiography. And if you don't know who Brian Eno is a producer who produced a lot of U2 records and amongst many other dope records for like David Bowie and Coldplay. And fun fact, he's been a mentor for Fred again for I think since he was like 16. So I have adored this man for so long, but after reading this book, Bono talking about U2 life, and Brian Eno being brought up, I just scoured the internet and searched YouTube videos and trying to digest everything I can about him. But I'm actually going to read his diary next. But yeah, he is a talking point about haircuts and what it means to you, or what it means about you. And haircuts keep changing and evolving and returning back. And mine is obviously maybe not. See, now I feel like it's like redundant because not redundant. That's the wrong word. Dang it. I feel like it's kind of contradictory because with the long hair, it's very Tarzan, right? Like I got that. My grandma called me. She didn't call me, but she said I look like Jesus. It would be weird if your grandma called you Jesus, like just instead of your given name. Like your grandma's just like, Jesus. That'd be kind of weird. So grandma, if you're watching this, I appreciate the thought, and I'm sorry that it's gone now, and I'm a little less holy. But that did have a Tarzan energy to it, and now I feel like you'd be like, well, if you're in the jungle, you'd want to look like Tarzan, wouldn't you? And I'm like, well, no, because I already did that, and now I'm doing Rufio. I'm doing Wild Boy, Lost Boy, Rufio, obviously. Don't question what I do. So that's my reasoning with that. And I'm very lost down this rabbit hole right now. One thing I did want to talk about, though, because I have noticed this. This has been a big reoccurring thing that I notice not only myself doing, but other people. I've observed it. I've been in part of these conversations with these other people. And another reason that this is called the art of figuring out is because I think we as people through conversation, when we don't understand something, right? Like when we're like, what is going on? What the fuck? Where are we? Where do I go? We're confused, right? We're very confused, and we need to, in real time, we have to take our thoughts, right? Stick with me here, all right? Please stick with me, because this is, I think, an active theory I'm working on here. So this is, we're confused, right? Thoughts in head, or confusion is like a lack of clear thoughts in our head, right? It's a jumble of thoughts. We're confused. We're like, what is, I'm so confused. We have a jumble of thoughts in our head. It can be really hard to make sense of that by just thinking about it. Sometimes philosophers are better at doing that because they just sit there and they think, and so they're a lot better at like logically sifting through these thoughts. They're organized for them. But for most of us, we're not like that. So we got to get them out, right? So it's like if you got a messy closet or you got a messy attic or drawer or whatever, sometimes it's really hard to try and organize that with everything in the drawer. You got to take it out to see what you have. You got to take it out to be like, what do I got here? Oh, didn't know I had that. Oh, I got a lot of those. Oh, wait, hold on. We need to see and understand the scope of everything we got. So where I'm going with this is we as people, through conversation like this, even me talking to a camera as a video log, that is taking my thoughts out and laying them out there, right? Hopefully I remember this shit. That's why notes are helpful. But whether it's by yourself or with another person, we need to have these conversations where we make... I keep hitting this. Sorry. Smack, smack, smack. We need to make sense of all of this stuff. And so we go back and forth and we talk and we just spitball and we're like, I think this. Well, I think this. Well, isn't that? So how about this? Well, I'm kind of feeling like this. And we are actively in the pursuit of trying to figure it out. And so that's where I was going with that. That's what this is. This is another outlet to try and figure that out, because I realized I kept having conversations like this, or just conversations. I noticed that oftentimes when people are venting, so it's like if they're venting or complaining or like whatever, if they're talking with you, they're actually in the active act of trying to figure out what's going on in their life. They're like, and so we need to be able to like do that. We need to be able to just like say some shit, even if we're like completely wrong or off base or upset or whatever. We need to spit out all this shit in our heads so we can see it and hear ourselves say it, and then like look at it and be like, oh, that makes sense. That thought made sense. That one's off base. That doesn't make sense. Hold on a second. That's contradicting that over there. So it's the active figuring it out. And that's, again, why why I'm doing this. That's why these captain's logs are existing, because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to see what to do, where to go, who to be. And I think a lot more of us could use a little bit more active space to do that. I feel like that's sort of missing. That's been a reoccurring conversation I've had with a lot of people, and we're constantly like, "What? I don't even know," and it's because they don't have anyone to talk to. They don't know who they can talk to. Other people maybe don't have the understanding or the experience to be a sounding board, but we kind of gotta just like bitch a little bit, right? Just gotta like get it out. And that's why, like, I mean, I've heard somebody fact check me on this, but I feel like I've heard that, the whole like theory of catharsis isn't in terms of like talking about stuff doesn't really help. Maybe I'm making that up because I think it does. At least it should, because to not get it out is there's something about the physical act of just emptying, right? Energy and thoughts and like whatever. Man, I'm getting I'm like saying the same thing over and over and over again. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. I have to stop myself before this gets so like fucking ridiculous. But see, that's what happens. That's what happens when you try to figure stuff out, because you hit a point where you're just kind of like, I don't even know anymore. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. And that's true. That happens to me all the time when I'm talking with friends and we're like upset about something. Or like a crazy thing, like a crazy experience, right? Or event happened. And we're like, I cannot believe that just happened. Why did that happen? Isn't that fucking nuts? They should have never done that. I can't believe they said that to you. Oh my God. And then it's like, there's a point in the conversation where it just kind of comes back around and you're like, yeah, and they said that. And you're like, yeah, I know. We've been here. We've talked about this before. Like yeah, we get that. But it's because we didn't know where else to go with it. We're like, well, I got to think about this now a little bit. I got to stew in my thoughts here. And that's where I was going with that. See, again, I hit the end of my loop there. All that being said, this is my therapy. So thank you all for being here. Oh God, it is a lovely day out, as you can see. Again, if you're just listening, come through the tube, the video, because I think it'd be cool if maybe some guests visited me in my treehouse. I don't really know. See, like, I don't really know what this is gonna be, but what you can expect is catharsis. You can expect some mild complaining. I don't mean for this to be a bitch fest. That's not my point. I would love to actually talk about like anything, life, what's going on, right? Like, just like things I find interesting, what's happening out there in the world. I'd love to talk about music and vibing. Maybe we should do that, like at the end, and be like, this is what I've been vibing to. You should check it out. This is what's keeping me company. Y'all can have homework after each one. You can go and like do your research so we're on the same page. I do like that though, because so when I was reading the YouTube book, I would listen to what he was describing doing in that part of the book. So like he was talking about writing Joshua Tree with Brian Eno, and so I would go and listen to Joshua Tree, and like I've never listened to Joshua Tree. I mean, I've heard, boy, does that record have some hits. There's a reason why that's a big record. It's got some hits on it, but I know those, but I didn't know the rest. And having the context of like what they were, because they talk about like what they're listening to and then what songs they made, it like gives you a bigger picture of the world of they were in at that time. And I thought that was pretty cool. Context is everything in this life. So maybe that'd be kind of cool. I'm just kind of making this up as I go here, but like, yeah, maybe y'all can have some like homework, check out some contextual songs of the soundtrack of the world here, of my life. I can't play it on here though, unfortunately, because of copyright issues, which is too bad. As someone like myself, my music is copyright free is a loose term, but we call it DMCA free because I want people to be able to use it and stuff like this. If they like it, I think that's cool. I think if anything, it only shows more people my music if someone else wants to use it. I know there's a bunch of logistical challenges of that for a lot of artists and moving forward, but David Bowie once said that he thinks copyright will basically disappear eventually. And like, I kind of get it, because like, as we enter this like weird multimedia, everything's just kind of like smashed together typeness, I think it's going to be really challenging to do that. And it's, man, as music's streamed and like collecting those royalties is, I don't know. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole because it's just like a mess and it's so confusing and it's just hard to make your money that way unless you're making millions of streams and whatnot. So anyway, so I can't play those songs I'm listening to on here. So I'm just gonna have to tell you, and you're just gonna have to take notes. Okay, take notes. I should have, oh man, show notes. I'm going to have to go back and watch this and then make show notes so that y'all will have show notes so that you can then go look up instead of needing to like just remember what I say. Oh, that's going to be weird. I hope I don't go back and I watch this and I'm like, oh, you rambled about figuring it out for like 25 minutes and you just talked yourself in circles. Great. Oh, that's not what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, I don't know. Kronk's not here. He's out exploring. And some people might know this, but Calypso passed away, I don't know, was that like 4 months ago? 5 months ago? Unexpectedly. Don't really know why. So she's not here. Otherwise, she would normally be by my side. No studio cat, but that's okay. That's life. That's how it goes. She was a beautiful young mommy, and she taught us many lessons about the jungle. But sometimes we might have a jungle cat in here. I really hope he doesn't ruin the show with his meows, because boy, does that guy just wail like a baby. If you ever heard the thing about how cats supposedly mimic the calls or cries of babies so that humans are more likely to pay attention to them. When you hear Kronk, you're like, that's for sure a fact. Because sometimes I'll be outside and I'll hear a child wail like in the distance, and I'm like, Kronk? And then I realize, no, it's actually just like a child yelling or screaming down the street. So he has nailed it. He's absolutely nailed it. But we are thinking of getting another cat, maybe. We've tried to get a Maine Coon like 2 times with both Calypso and Kronk, and both times we were blatantly lied to, and we were too ignorant to know. So that's our bad. But we did get some great cats. Both cats were phenomenal in their own way. But man, it'd be pretty cool to have a real ass Maine Coon in here in the treehouse, because that would really give me a Jungle Boy boner. Can I say that? Oh, I'm sorry, Grandma, if you're listening to this. I'm really sorry about that. But it's true. So, well, it's true. I've always wanted a Maine Coon, and they look like a major wildcat, so that'd be pretty cool. But then they could sit over here on the cat bed up here, right up there. Right now we have this like, what is this? This is a squish thing. Oh, it's a squishmallow. This one's name is Cam. I'm gonna read this for y'all because Cam loves jumping in and out of boxes. Oh, because he's a cat. Yeah, all right, obviously. This year, he's pretending the boxes are caves. When this cat isn't dressed like a bat, oh, it's his Halloween costume. Nice. You can find him napping on the beach, building forts, or hanging with his friends. Cam is always up for an adventure. That's cute. Cam the cat. So Cam's up there right now. Oh. But man, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's a good place to leave it for this introductory video log. This is the art of figuring it out, and this is me in real time figuring it out and talking about life and seeing what's going on out there and sharing thoughts. I'm gonna say this is my disclaimer. I think I should put a disclaimer in here at this point. I'm sure I'm gonna say some fucked up shit, like Jungle Boy Boner. I'm gonna say some stuff that's probably completely false. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm a guy who doesn't know anything. So every day I'm gonna, I learn something new, and I'm gonna try to make sense of it, and I'm gonna try to figure it out. So yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry if y'all get rattled by that, but again, I'm dramatic, theater kid, baby. It's gonna things are gonna be weird. This is gonna be chaos. I'm just gonna say some shit. I'm sure I'm gonna have my boy Christian on here at some point who's gonna say some shit, but he's like allowed to. It's his bit. Bits are good. Bits are fun. We like bits in this house. We could use a bit more bits. We could use a bit more bits in life. So yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be that, and as always, like I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate y'all sharing your lives with me and giving me pointers and knowledge and checking in and coming through the stream and listening to the tunes and watching the vids. Shameless plug, I did just put out the Becoming Live, though, just a little bit ago, literally like a week maybe. That really wrapped up the Becoming era. Now that's why we're officially in the Jungle Boy era, but that's on YouTube. That was a lot of fun. So, check that out. And man, I don't know what's next, but I'm excited to figure it out, which is honestly rare. It's been a while since I've felt like that. So we're going to get it. We're going to get after it. And thanks for struggling through this one with me. Who knows what's next? We're going to find out. Okay. Well, we'll see you on the next one.